Hello, boils and ghouls. You are now tuned in to PVD Horror Podcast. Pleasant screams.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is PVD Horror. I'm Dave. I'm here with Brandon, and we are going to be doing one of our favorite things to do every year, the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards nomination reviews.
Yeah, it's been getting crazy, man. It's been fun doing this, because every year it's just like, damn, like even today when the email popped up, I'm like, damn, it's that time already.
Yeah. It's kind of like this tradition now that hits you almost the way, like we were talking in our last episode about how the stuff hitting the Halloween stuff hitting the stores kind of catches you by surprise, but then you're like, oh yeah, I guess it's that time. This is the same thing. When it hits, it's like, really? And then it's like, oh yeah, I guess it is that time. So yeah.
So I like it though. I like it. It's a little different. Like you said, it keeps us on our toes. Last year, Fangoria, they made a little shift to the seasons, you know what I mean? So they shifted to an October award show. Before we used to get in what was that? Maybe around springtime, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
I can't
now
remember exactly.
Yeah, so it's more fitting now. It's in October. We have it like aligned with the spooky season, so it works out.
We had a great time last year for the award show. We went to Deadbeats in Providence to watch it with some friends, and we were all cheering or booing whoever won. And when I say booing, not because we didn't want we were being spiteful, but because there was some films that seemed to sweep that we were like, oh, really? I would kind of like this other film for that category or something.
Yeah.
So that's fun. That's the fun of this, right? It's a little competitive even for us because we want to root on the films that, we are championing. So that's cool.
Yeah. And I think like we need to keep that going. I think we need to have another, watch party, and have that going and build up the crowd, man. Like I said, every year, I just wish this would be like a live event. You know what I mean? And so I wish that we could attend it one day, kind of like how they did years ago. So I'm gonna keep saying it until it happens.
So the thing that's interesting with the way that Fangoria does this is they don't go from, a full calendar year. What they do is they do July 2024 to June 2025. And that's the way it's been for the past few years. So, one of the things we were talking about off air is that makes it a little challenging if the question's open-ended, because it's hard sometimes to remember what was released in that time frame. But it is interesting comparing films that were on our top of the year list in December, early January to films that we just watched a month ago. That's a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's hard. But, like they said at Fangoria, they're going to keep it going. They're going to keep the tradition going. And it's like putting the first half and the second half in a cage match and then making it gory, kind of like the Grammys, but gory. So we'll see what they can do. You know what I mean? But I'm a fan of it. We posted up on our social medias today. So if you're listening and you want to sit there and take part in this and put your vote out there, you can go to, fangoria.vote.com and place your votes. The nominees are pretty cool, and we're getting ready to go over it now, and kind of let you guys know what we think and who we think should win.
Now, here's the fun thing. I'm going to bring it up again, and I brought it up a ton last year, but 2 years ago, there was this guy, you already know what I'm saying. There was this guy that commented and said, considering you guys are a horror podcast and you're talking about these awards, shouldn't you have seen more of the films? And I took that to heart. And this year,
he was coming at you though. That's why.
I know he was totally coming at me. Sure. But this year I was like, no, I've seen most of these films. I was feeling really confident. And then, later you guys are going to see there's a couple of categories. I'm like, damn it. The guy's going to freaking catch me again.
I like that guy though. He keeps you on your toes, man. He keeps you on your toes. Yeah.
You got to have people like that, right? That keeps you motivated. So I will say most of these films, though, the main films that we're going to be talking about, I know you've seen, and I have also seen. So I feel like we can give some good perspective on these categories, and we're going to talk a little bit about which films we feel win, which films we feel maybe are close runners up, and our reasons why. So yeah, let's
All
get it
right.
started.
All right. Yeah, the first category and the nominees are it's the best wide release. I think we were talking about this a few years
Yeah,
ago. Like what defines the wide release? You know what I mean? Because we were going over it so many times. But I think this year it's a little set up a little bit better because the films before they were kind of like it was hard to kind of say, okay, what film do I think it would be? But
yeah.
here are the best wide release films. We have 28 Years Later, Bring Her Back, Final Destination Bloodlines, Heretic, Longlegs, Nosferatu, Sinners, Strange Darling, The Substance, and The Ugly Stepsister. Those are great
Okay.
films right there, you know?
This is a wild category. I think one of the
Yeah.
things that made it hard in previous years,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have this level of, for lack of a better word, substance in
Yeah.
this category. This is a tough category.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to make a guess, and I did this last year. I tried to guess your picks. I'm going to make a guess. This was probably an easy pick for both of us, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's not so easy because there's some really like notable films in here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brandon, why don't you kick us off with your winner?
Like you said, it was tough, but I had to go with Sinners on this one.
Right.
Just the release, I think the promo that everyone kind of like put out there, and it was just just like Ryan Coogler doing the whole breakdown of like IMAX and each film, the way that the film was shot, and it just gave so much more to like the viewer and the consumer of what they were getting into. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was just like a team, and they had a project, and they really cared about it, and it was loved by everyone. So I'm gonna have to go with Sinners on that. So what about you?
Yeah, same. Sinners. Here's the thing. Even if I didn't enjoy this film, which I did
Yeah,
significantly, I would still have to pick it knowing that it was just so widely loved by
yeah,
others that there's no
hmm
doubt that this is probably the best wide release of the year. Like the amount of outpour of love for this film was
hmm
insane for various reasons, but not just because of what it stood for, also just because it's an amazing fucking film, right?
exactly.
It like obviously the messages, the themes in here are super important, and we're all appreciating them so
hmm
much, and it's something refreshing that we haven't seen in a long time. But also, it's just an outstandingly done film, and it's quality, and it deserves to not just be in Fangoria's awards, but
Yeah,
the Oscars. So
exactly.
yeah,
And like you said, it's this is a stacked lineup right here. But depending on like when this was gonna take place, it could have been someone else, you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
just the placement of the release dates. So it's kind of hard. But at the end of the day, wide release, it's been in theaters, crushing it, knocking down,
I think
box office numbers,
it's
and
still
it's
in some
back in
theaters.
theaters right now.
Oh
It's
yeah,
back
yeah,
in mainstream theaters again.
right,
So like, hey,
right.
it is what it is.
You
So,
know, as far as the notable ones, I think for me, Bring Her Back and Long
mm,
Legs are
yeah,
probably the two that I would say were like questionable. As far
mm,
as like if Sinners wasn't there, what film would I pick instead? Um, but I mean, yeah, The Substance is amazing. The
yeah,
Ugly Stepsister is amazing. Strange Darling was amazing. Heretic was good. I enjoyed it. Wouldn't
hmm
be ever be this category's winner in my opinion, but it was still a
yeah,
great film. Um, and Nosferatu obviously was a great movie as well. Which yeah, I should have said that in the earlier ones. But yeah, there was so many good ones here.
yeah. If it was a triple threat match, it would have been Sinners, Nosferatu, and The Substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it is
yeah,
what it is. Every other film. Hey, you know what I mean? Like I said, you can't go wrong whoever you pick in this category. So if you're
yeah.
listening, like if you're against the Sinners film being the best wide release, yeah, so be it. That's your decision. You know what I mean? Like, because there's so many other films and so many categories where I have to sit there and like kind of go a different way. because like
Right.
we said last year, there was so many films. There was a film that just racked up on every category, and it was just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Evil
So,
Dead Rises. Evil Dead Rise.
yeah,
That's what it was.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we had our thoughts about that.
No, and
I
it
mean,
was fine. I liked the movie.
it definitely fit in a because it won a
Yeah.
bunch. It won a bunch, and it was like it definitely should have won numerous categories.
Yeah.
But I think it also won some categories because it didn't have such a strong lineup of other films going against it like this year does.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. There's going to be a whole group of people that vote for The Substance instead of Sinners, which
Oh, definitely.
also another great film, has a bunch of important themes in it as well, if that's a measure of importance at all. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's that category. All right. Best limited release movie. So we have 5 for this category. We have Azrael, we have Frankie
Hmm.
Frico, we have Freaky Tales, we have Getaway, and Little Bites.
Mm.
So this category is a significant departure from the last one, obviously,
Oh,
with
definitely.
some titles here that are a little less known, probably a little less viewed. So I'm sure that most people that are going to be picking this have probably seen maybe only a few of the films. If you've seen all
Yeah.
5, congratulations. But if you've only seen 1 or 2, you're not alone. So yeah, Brandon, what was your pick for this one?
My pick, I'm gonna have to go with shout out to I'm gonna go Azrael. It was a little
Oh,
creepy themed, you know what I mean? And then there
sure.
was so many other pieces. Frankie Frico, that's the comedy driven film.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh Freaky Tales it was more of an action film. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Yep.
so and like that's another thing too. It's like hard because I know a lot of people probably haven't seen it. It was a limited run in theaters and then let's see, and now you can only rent it on Prime or like VOD, and
So
it's
it's yeah,
so
still
it's
not
like
super accessible.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like 15.99 to buy, and then it's like to rent, it's like $10. You know what I mean? So I can see a lot of people not wanting to come out their pockets, but it had a good cast in there, and then
Yeah.
Getaway, and then we have Little Bites. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go with Azrael on that because
Okay.
it was creepy.
Um, when I saw this category, I was like, well, perfect timing. I just
Hmm.
watched Frankie Frico, and that movie
Yeah.
was such a blast. So
Yep.
that's definitely my winner for this category. I had a great time with it.
Hmm.
Is it like the most amazing film? No, but it's like I think it's for what it is. It was just a great time. I had a
Yeah.
blast with it. It was like almost like a nostalgic ride. Kind of reminded me of some old school like 80s comedies with a
Hmm.
little twist. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like
Frankie Frico,
Garbage Pail Kids type
yeah,
style.
exactly.
Uh,
Stephen Konstansky does it again. Psycho Gorman, The Void, and now he's got
yeah,
Frankie Frico. So yeah, that was my pick. I think that's out on Tubi if people haven't gone to check that out yet.
yeah, it's streaming on Shutter too, and I'm pretty sure Little Bites is also. So if you haven't seen any of these films, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
All right, so the next category we have is best streaming premiere. So the first film is Best Wishes to All, Cannibal Mukbang, Gazer. That's what right? Yeah.
Sure.
No, what the fuck is
No,
it?
it's Gazer.
All right. I'm
What do you
saying,
questioning it? Like,
all right, I'm
you
saying
got
the
me
same
questioning
thing.
it
All
now.
right. Mr. Crockett, and there's a zombie outside. What are you rolling with?
Oh, I'm going with Cannibal Mukbang. Again, this is a movie that I
Mm,
literally just watched a couple of days ago.
yep.
I'll have a review coming out actually pretty soon on that one. It was all right. So, Brandon, do you remember way back in the day when we were just starting to do interviews? We interviewed
Yeah.
the director of We Are Not Cats.
Yep.
This had We Are Not Cats vibe to it. It's super
Mm,
quirky, indie, sort of romantic horror comedy, and then gets super dark. I enjoyed the hell out of it. This is a film that I'm definitely recommending to people. If you are an indie horror, fan and you like horror comedy-ish or quirky
hmm.
horror, I would say watch Cannibal Mukbang. Um, and if you don't know what mukbang is, it's not as dirty as it sounds. Trust me.
Get your head out the gutter.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I kept like for a minute I was getting it confused with something else. I was like, I can't believe they're titling it this. And then
Yeah.
I remembered what mukbang actually is, and I was like, that's not dirty at all.
Mm.
So, what do you got for this one, Brandon? I already know.
Oh, you know
I
me.
already
So
know.
here you go again with all your stuff. I'm gonna switch it up right now too.
You better not.
Nah, I'm gonna go with Mr. Crockett. Shout out to, Hulu and everybody over there that, developed that film. I'm pretty sure they're working on the sequel.
Nice.
I think it was cool because, it was around the time this is a film that was, on Hulu. So, I know a lot of people out there have Hulu and it's easy to access, you know what I mean? So, and it was around the time Huluween came out, and I'm definitely looking forward to Huluween again this year. They brought so many movies out, and I'm surprised Carved is not on this list.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
There
what
was
I
a
mean?
few films that I was surprised wasn't on this list.
Mm,
But that's a great point. I
yeah.
kind of wish Hulu would do a summerween features. Like I right now,
Mm,
I'm looking at streaming right now, and I'm kind of like, damn, there's nothing here that's like grabbing me too much. Like
mm,
I kind of wish there was like some films made specifically for this time.
yeah.
So Hulu, get on it.
See, that's the thing. It's like even with certain streaming platforms, I just don't have time to sit there and like surf, like depending like Tubi, I can surf through, but
Sure.
I think like, Hulu, I think Hulu and like Netflix, their search engine is like where like their main page. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think it needs to change a little bit, but I understand they have their own, original films and stuff like
hmm
that, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Mr. Crockett. Shout out to Hulu.
I like that category a lot too because
Yeah,
it highlights films that people maybe looked over or they in the back of their mind like, oh, I'll get to that later, and they maybe never got to it. Kind of gets
yeah,
you back into thinking like, oh man, there's some other films that I can check out at home that maybe I missed.
yeah.
So cool. All right. Oh, this is me. Best international movie. This is an interesting category right here. So we
Mm,
got Cuckoo, we got Dangerous Animals, we have Oddity, Red Rooms, and The Ugly Stepsister. So strong category here. A lot
yeah,
of
it's
like
strong.
big titles that had a lot of talk about them throughout the year. Uh, Brandon, what do you got for best international movie?
Yeah, so I'm sitting there looking at this category also. I remember we talked about because we were really looking forward to seeing Cuckoo, and
Yes.
I kind of felt that. Have you seen it yet or no?
Yeah, I did, and it fell
Yeah,
very flat for me. I
yeah, it
was
was
very
fat.
disappointed. Yep.
Yeah, it fell flat for me also, and so I was just like, ah, man, it's not what I thought it would be.
Yep.
But kind of looking at it, for an everyday person, I think that that'll probably be the only film that they know. Certain if you're not like a big mainstream
Sure.
horror fan, because out of all of these ones, that's the only one that truly like went to the theater and had a like main
Dangerous
run.
Animals got a very short like
Yeah,
like
they
run recently, but that's not
Yeah, but
uh
that's a Shutter film. Oddity is
sure.
a Shutter.
Yep.
Ugly Stepsisters on Shutter. But
Yes.
Cuckoo was like a main. I want to say that was like a main stream horror film. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
In all theaters. So so if you're listening to this or you're watching, and you're not even sure what the other ones are, that's fine. And I'm gonna roll with Ugly Stepsister on this one
Yeah.
because I think that one kind of like knocked the wall down. Before like that was thrown to us for screeners, and
Yeah.
I even was just like I was just so caught up. I had stuff going on. I didn't watch it, and then you watched it, and I was just like just hearing the feedback after it released from everyone. I'm like, oh shit, I should have checked that out. And I actually was able to watch it, and I was just like, all right, this is on some other shit. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I'm going with the ugly stepsister because
Yeah, and clearly that was mine too. That
okay.
for sure. Yeah. That to me, I thought it was like such an original idea
Mm,
to do this like twist on the fairy tale. Like we've seen a lot of dark fairy tales recently,
yeah.
them doing the horror spin on them, but we didn't see a dark fairy tale from the perspective of a side character, right?
No, yeah, not at all.
And the things they did with like the body horror aspect of it,
Hmm.
she leaned in heavy on that, and it was disgusting, and like but like almost modern in some ways, like some of the the issues that they were worried about.
Yeah.
Emily, and I hope I'm probably going to butcher her name. Emily Blickfelt, I believe, is the
Mm.
director's name. She did an amazing job with this film, I thought.
Yeah, it's funny because, like you said, like with all the body stuff going on, I was watching this film and I remember I was watching it and my mother-in-law was walking by and she goes, "What is this?" I'm like, I had to pause it and I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'm fucking I'll watch this
Oh,
later."
geez, I know that.
So I was like,
So yeah, yeah, there's some scenes in this that will kind of surprise you with where they went, and then some of them
"Yeah,
are like super creative. There's
mm-hmm,
what is it, the mouthpiece at one point that she wears,
mm-hmm,
um, and they kind of created that, I believe. Like that's, I don't think that's like a historically accurate piece, but they made it look like something you would believe to really exist during this
yeah,
time. I just, yeah, there's just so much to it. It's a very beautiful film too, despite it being so like grotesque at different times. So
yeah,
I definitely recommend people check this out. Like you said, it's out on Shutter.
yeah." And a lot of people loved Oddity. Have you checked that out yet?
You know, that one I have just not been in the mood for.
Yeah,
So like I've gone to put it on and then just no, I didn't do it. I
it's
have to
yeah.
watch it because I know of like the hype around it, but
That
no.
guy's waiting for you. He's watching this video right
You didn't
now.
watch Oddity?
How
You're
you even casting a vote in this
oh, is
fucking
that
category right now, buddy?
that's how he talks? I like that.
You didn't even watch that. Shit.
You didn't watch Odyssey?
You didn't even
All
watch
right,
it.
guy.
Nah, I thought it was cool, but the hype around it, how a lot of people are enjoying it, I didn't feel the same way, and that's me. But
Yeah.
I hope everybody, everybody enjoys that different films. Films a different way. They look at it from a different lens. So, I thought it was an okay movie. It was nothing crazy, but just like Cuckoo, it fell flat for me. So,
Okay. Yeah.
and Dangerous Animals, it's a shark movie. That's on Shutter, and Red Rooms. It was decent, but
Is Dangerous Animals on Shutter now,
um,
or is it
I'm not
coming to Shutter?
sure if it should be coming to Shutter because I know it was like you said, it had the limited run, and
Yeah.
they were getting all that all set. So
I
I think it's probably going to be premiering soon
yeah.
because a lot of these movies that Shutter had, the release dates are like so far out because even like Clown and Cornfield, it went to the theater.
Yeah, it's
It
not
had a
till
big
August.
run, and then so that's coming out August 8th. So when they have those exclusive little deals, it kind of goes a little different way.
Yeah.
But let's keep things moving. And right now, we're gonna get into the best first feature. So this is a great category, and we've talked about a few of these films already
Yep.
on on the podcast and already today on another categories. But we're gonna start it off with Best Wishes to All, Blink Twice, Cannibal Mukbang, Mr. Crockett, and The Ugly Stepsister. I know my pick. But I want to hear from you. What are you rolling
No,
with
your
on
pick
this
too. I know your pick too.
one?
All right, so I'm 1 for 1 guessing your pick so far. I believe. I think I
Yeah.
no, I know I'm 2 for 2. I knew what your first one was going to be too.
Mm,
So I'm going to be 3 for 3 after this. So mine is The Ugly Stepsister again.
okay.
Um, while there's some very notable films on here that I feel like are worthy competitors, The Ugly Stepsister I feel like is just a step beyond these films in
Yep.
its uniqueness, in the set design, the costume design, the just every like all aspects to me. Feel like The Ugly Stepsister is just an amazing first feature, very unique story, and yeah, I guess that's what I would say. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah.
Say the one I know you're going to say.
Mr. Crockett. Nah. Nah, I'm not going Mr. Crockett. I'm gonna roll with Blink Twice. Right? Because I know we talked about this, like I said, we already talked about it on the podcast. This is Zoe Kravitz's first film, and she definitely impressed me with this project. You know what I mean? So, um, we talked about it because I remember you had gone to see it before me, and then I was just like, all right, and I had gone into it thinking like, all right, cool. Well, Dave enjoyed this film, and at this time, it was getting a lot of heat. I know because I know a lot of stuff was going on in the news and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But overall, for a first feature, that's not bad. That wasn't a bad
I mean, it
bad
helps
move.
that her ex is like a big name actor, and she has a lot of like connection. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It
No,
wasn't that.
it was a good film. It was a good film. She did a great job.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there were things that kind of wish were different, but that was more storyline. Uh,
Yeah.
the film itself looked great, was definitely had some cool cinematography and camera shots and stuff like that. So there's a lot to like about that film. And like you
Mm.
said, it would be great to see. Like that's her first feature, and that's impressive. So it would be really great to
I
see
want,
what she's going to do next
I want to see what everyone's gonna do next because, like I
in that
said, this
category. Yeah,
this list right here was a lot of great films. So shit. I'm definitely looking towards what everybody's gonna do, and it's a hard category. But that's the main thing for me. I was sitting there looking at it. I'm like, okay, can I pick Mr. Crockett again? Can I pick Ugly Stepsister again? Yeah, I can, but I want to like spread this out so it doesn't fall into that same thing because I want to kind of like I'm gonna have some of these same films in other categories also.
right.
So it's like mixing them up. So it's like, all right, who wasn't in this one already for me? But I enjoyed all of the films, so I'm looking
That's
forward.
the hard thing because like when you're picking, you don't. I think it's like hard because you don't want to pick the same film every time. You want to be able to like show a little love to all the films you
Yeah.
enjoyed. So that can be tough, kind of like navigating. Well, which one fits in this one and which one fits in
Hmm.
this one.
Exactly.
Here is what I think to be the hardest
Mm.
category of all the categories, even harder than anything that we've looked at so far and what's coming up. Best
Yeah.
lead performance. And the reason why this is so hard is because there's so many damn great performances and it's not separated at all. So we have all the best actors and actresses from all the
Yeah.
films. So we got Lily Rose Depp from Nosferatu, Willa Fitzgerald from Strange Darling. Holy shit, that was a performance. Sally
Yeah.
Hawkins from Bring Her Back, another amazing performance. Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. Holy crap. Maka Monroe from Longlegs, Demi Moore from The Substance, Leah Myron from The Ugly Stepsister, Hunter Schafer from Cuckoo, Naomi Scott in Smile 2, and Sophie Thatcher in Companion. Not
Mm.
one of these would I look at and say, oh, that doesn't belong on here.
Exactly. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, this category right here lets us know that just horror won in general.
Yeah.
You know what
Look
I
at these
mean?
names: Demi Moore, Michael B. Jordan, Sally Hawkins, who I believe she even had an Oscar nomination maybe for what was the creature feature she did.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about. It was like almost like a creature from the Black Lagoon. Well,
Oh, okay,
anyway,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I mean that was a major film for her. There's just so many people in this category and so many that deserve to win.
Horror won. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, look at the names. Look at the names of everyone that's stepping up now and saying, like, throwing their hat in and saying, okay, I want to be in the horror project now.
Yeah. It's
And so
not
just
it's not
imagine
a
next year.
right. It's no longer look at as like embarrassing
Hmm.
or a slight to your career if you do a horror
Not at
film. Now
all.
it's looked at as like, oh cool, they did, Michael B. Jordan was in Sinners and it's like that's cool now. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. I love that. I hope horror doesn't get too mainstream because obviously that's I don't want that either. I kind of like us
No.
having our edge and I hope we don't ever lose that edge. And some of us like being misfits, but it's
Hmm.
still very, very cool that we're getting these strong performances. Brandon, I'll let you start with this one.
I'm gonna go with Michael B. Jordan just because he played two roles in this film. You know what I mean? And so for me, it just kind of like changed the game. And then just seeing him evolve into, who he is from earlier on growing up, watching The Wire, Hardball with Keanu Reeves and stuff like that, and to where he is now and just being on that big screen and just kind of like taking on all these roles from like Black Panther. And he's just been crushing everything. And so I just think that overall, um, it is what it is. You just got to give him his flowers. But like I said, you can't really go wrong with anyone in this category. And so even if he did lose, I'm still happy that, that at the end of the day, horror won.
Yeah.
And that's where I stand with that.
I picked Michael B. Jordan. I feel like he was Smoke, he was Stack.
Yeah.
Like he embodied those characters, he transformed himself into those characters. There's a
Mm-hmm.
period of time where you don't even look at him as Michael B. Jordan anymore in that film.
No,
You
no.
lose the sense of who he is outside of this film, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just this really like amazing quality that he has, that he was able to do that and like switch from the two characters and capture each of the characters' unique qualities so seamlessly that we
Yeah.
never even notice, and we can tell each of them apart so easily just by looking at them and their body language and the way they carry themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that was like a flawless performance, in a category that has a ton of flawless performances. If we want to look at some of the notable ones here, which is pretty much all of them. I think for me, another huge like performance, and one that just took me by surprise, was Will Fitzgerald in Strange Darling. That I
Oh
remember
yeah.
leaving there and being like, "Oh my god, that performance just kicked my
Mm-hmm.
ass!" Like she went from 0 to 100, and like, yeah, the things that she had to do in that film, like running around in like her
Mm-hmm.
underwear all over the place, and yeah, I just thought that was another super great performance.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that performance was super strong. Another one I just want to give a lot of props to, because I haven't really had a chance to talk about this performance that much,
Mm.
and I just kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were. So Sally Hawkins in Bring Her Back, that character for me was like, I think she did such a great job, because that character really like threw me for a loop. There was so many, like, it was kind of mysterious. She played it so
Mm-hmm.
well that there was periods of time where I was like, is she as bad as I think she's going to be? And then
Yeah.
she was as bad as I thought she was going to be, and I was like, oh
She's
yeah,
that
she is.
girl.
I feel like she like really like leaned into that role really strong, and it was like kind of a nuanced role, because she was playing like this kind of over like really suffocating, like I need like intrusive person, but then at times
Mm.
she had her own like her own issues that she was dealing with, and yeah, I did, and she was like kind of just like this tragically horrible person. I just thought
Mm.
it was a really good performance, and I know she's a good actress, but like she did really good in that role.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. It was just every, like you said, every film that was in that category. It is what it is. Even like Smile too. I wasn't a big fan of it, but like Naomi Scott like definitely killed that film.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like carrying that, doing all those things. Sophie,
yeah,
Cuckoo. It's just you seriously can't go wrong.
yeah. The performance here that like some people will get confused on and say like, oh, I don't know if that one should be on here.
Mm.
Makeup is that how you say it? Makeup Monroe. I don't know how to pronounce her first name. From Long Legs.
Yep.
She is, but like she is the character she's supposed to be. This
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like flat,
Yeah.
affected person that's like very kind of rigid and straight, and like supposed to be just kind of like a blank character at times, like
Hmm.
not showing a ton of like physical like emotion. That was who she was supposed to be. So I think some people are
Yeah.
going to like might get that twisted, and but I'm sure that that's not an easy role to play either, to like come off that flat at times when there's
Oh no.
big things going on.
Yeah, because that was a lot of things what people had like when I first watched it, and everybody was like, "Oh, it was like slow," and her character was this and that. I'm like, "Yeah, but did you realize at the end when they shot the ball, it just
That's why. Yeah,
changed everything about her?" And they're just like,
exactly. Yeah.
"Oh, I'm like, let me fucking shoot the ball on you!"
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like,
Where is Long Legs streaming right now?
um, I'm not sure if it is. If it probably is, it might be on Max, but I know that they're celebrating the 4K release, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's streaming yet. I haven't seen it on anything.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so next we have another tough category.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best supporting performance. And so, like you just said, we have Nicolas Cage with Long Legs, and we have Miles Canton in Sinners. We have Ralph Fiennes. What is that? Fiennes?
Fines.
Is it? Oh, Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes. Yep.
Oh, Ralph. Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah. Ralph Fiennes, and 28 years later, Hugh Grant and Heretic and David Johnson.
Johnson.
Is it Johnson? Or I never seen Johnson
That's
spelled
a
that way.
yeah, it's a different one.
For
Looks like
Alien
it.
Romulus and Wumi Musoka in Sinners, Jack O'Connell in Sinners, Margaret Qualley in The Substance, Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu, and Dan Stevens in Cuckoo.
The hardest part of that category is saying everybody's name. Actually,
Like, come
that was
on
that's a
out,
tough one.
everybody. But
That was
yeah,
a
it's
tough
like,
one.
yeah, I never like that's a weird name, way to spell Johnson though.
Yeah, I've not seen that before, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Who you rolling with?
Oh, so I thought this was an
These guys
easier
can't
one.
even say their names.
Yeah. This is actually, now that I think about it, this is a tough one too.
Oh, it is hard.
I have two that are coming to my
Hmm.
mind right away, and I might lean towards a different person than I initially was going to, just because I feel like I want to show a little love to this one. So Miles from Sinners and Hugh
Yeah.
Grant in Heretic are the two that come to my mind. I kind of want to say Hugh Grant in Heretic because he, but it's so tough because then I go back to Miles's performance. I was like, he was so great in that film,
Yeah.
and but so if you watch Heretic, it is so dialogue based thriller, and his character, he plays that character so well to make you question his motives to the point where like at times you're like, wait a minute, I can't tell if he's lying, if he's telling the truth. I can't tell if like he's actually going to come up with something good here because he's actually a good guy and he's just testing them. I believed in everything he was selling at every point in that film, and I just feel like he did such a good job with that performance. I'm actually going to say Hugh Grant,
Okay.
and that was not an easy decision to make for me because Sinners
Yeah.
is better film, but performance wise, and Miles's performance was stellar. But I feel I got to give a little love to Hugh Grant's performance in this,
Okay.
and Hugh Grant doing a horror film, also crazy, and very cool too.
It's his second horror film.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely understand. And so that made me even look at every actor that was on this list. And for another film that I really enjoyed this year was Alien Romulus. So I'm gonna go with David Johnson because just the way that he carried the film, like we said before, like an actor having to perform a certain way, spoiler alert, whatever, like he's an
Mm-hmm.
android.
Yep.
And I think he played that role very well. And just, the little dad jokes and everything like that, and then just the way they was carrying things and kind of like when shit's falling apart, like he's there and he was having to sit there and transform to good, bad, and just doing so much. And it just definitely made me look at him a different way because I'm like, wow, like like who, like going into it, I'd never seen him before on the screen.
Right.
And so I'm like, damn, like I want to see what's next with this guy. And so he's actually in a long walk that's coming out. I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, all right, there he is. And I'm locked in on that. And so it's just, I think it just what these actors leave an impact with you and what you take away from a film. And I loved Alien Romulus. And kind of looking at everything, Bill Skarsgård. You know what I mean? I think, and that
Oh,
was the main thing. It was like all those same situations where we say you can look at certain things on this list and say, okay, this is who was gonna win, but also stop and think like who also deserves a little bit of respect for what they did. That isn't just the big name on the platform or the
yeah.
biggest film on the platform that's in these shiny lights. And I think if you do all that, I think that a lot of people would agree with me
Yep.
that, that goes to our buddy David Johnson. That's
So
even if you spell your last name a little different. I get heat because my name's Brandin, and people
yeah,
look at me like, why is it an O?
I've
I
never heard it
don't know.
that way. That's yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Like I've never seen it spelled that way.
Nah,
Like it's
like the
um
road.
yeah, and that's a good point. It's like you got to like separate the
Hmm.
title of the film from the category and what the what the performance is supposed to be. And there's a lot of people in this list that
Hmm.
their performance is like stellar because they're really capturing what the essence of that supporting role is supposed to capture. So yeah, I mean that's another great pick for sure.
No, you even said it. Like Miles, that was his first acting role,
Yep.
and he came in off of doing a tour. He was singing, and then his like that's the thing. Like they had said to him, like you never know whose eyes are on you.
Hmm.
You know, what I mean, he was performing as a backup singer with her,
Yeah.
the R&B singer her, and so like that's special. And for you to be brought in just off of your musical talent, and then you actually you get the lead role. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? So it's
Right.
like,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely.
All right. So moving on, we got Best Director. We got 5 films here. We have Danny Boyle for 28 Years Later, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Robert Eggers for Nosferatu, Coralie Fargiat for The Substance, and Osgood Perkins for Long Legs. I got a
Mm.
little luckier with those names. All right. So looking at this category, for me, this is kind of an easy one.
Mm.
All great films. Well, mostly great films. Uh, but I would have to say Ryan Coogler, without a doubt, Sinners would be my pick here.
Yeah.
What do you got? Same.
Same. I'm gonna have to go with Ryan because that's the thing. Like even we said, like depending on like when this like you have the first quarter going against the second half, everybody would have been going with the substance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it is what it is. It just changes the situation. But everyone in this category is great, and I can't wait to see what they all do next. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Ryan also. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that one's probably going to be an easier
Mm.
one for people to choose from just because like I mean I guess yeah the substance would probably be the only other one I think that could give it a run for its money, but I think for the most part that's
Yeah.
direction wise I think that Ryan Coogler's direction in that film was just outstanding.
Yeah, see, and this is where we kind of like get into that path, you know what I mean? Where we're like, damn, like it's the same film. So right
Yep.
now we're getting ready to get back into the best screenplay, and the first film is Heretic, Sinners, and then we have The Substance, and Bring Her Back, and Strange Darlings.
Yeah.
What are you gonna roll with?
So looking at the category I have like if I'm going by
Mm,
what the category is, which is what we're supposed to do, I am going to go with Sinners because screenplay wise, I feel like that storyline,
mm-hmm,
it's so much more than horror. It navigates a whole like world and transports you into time and like
mm-hmm.
the story that we are told is so rich in depth, and
Yeah,
I just feel like it has a little bit more than the rest of the films in here as far as all that goes. And that's really says more about Sinners than it is a slight against the other films because the other films are outstanding. Like Bring Her Back's screenplay is awesome. Strange Darlings is actually
yeah.
really unique and was great. That was a great theater experience. The Substance, obviously, and Heretic for what it's worth. I don't really know how widely received that was. I think it was kind of a mixed reception, but like I thought that it was a film that made you think, and it
Mm-hmm.
it kind of presented a good storyline. So yeah, Sinners though.
All right.
What do you got?
Um,
Same?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sinners, but then I was also sitting there looking at it like what would be my backup or
Yep.
whatever. I would have to go with Strange Darlings
Yeah.
because it was just like you go into it and then you're just like like with all the different chapters going all different ways, the story's kind of running everywhere, and then what we get down to the ending of the film, it's just kind of just like, dude, what the fuck just happened? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it
That
takes you all these back roads and then taking different corners, and it's a ride. You know what I mean? And I think, like you said, like you can't go wrong with any film in this category, and but it's hard because it's just we're just getting lucky. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I think that's what it is at the end of the day.
What you said about Strange Wrong is great. Is absolutely kind of what I think too. It's
Hmm.
the way that that film travels is not a straight line, and that's such
No.
a great quality about that film
Hmm.
because of that fact it makes you not be able to guess what's coming next. So I
Yeah.
actually think, yeah, that would be my runner up for sure if in this category.
Yeah.
All right, best cinematography. We have Sinners, we have Long Legs, we have Nosferatu, we have The Substance, and we have 28 Years Later. I mean, this is a category. If we're looking at cinematography, this is a
Yeah.
great category of films. Like, um, I mean, I hated doing this, but I kept kind of coming back to the same film for the same reasons. It was just really outstandingly done. So I did pick
Hmm.
Sinners, but it was really hard for me because when I left Nosferatu, that was the thing that actually stuck out to me the most about Nosferatu. That
Yeah.
genuinely looked like a Germany of like the 1800s or whatever.
Hmm.
It definitely felt like the way they shot that film, the shots that were just beautiful. Um, there was so much to that. So Nosferatu was a really close one for me, but Sinners, and maybe this was because we watched it on IMAX, was just visually beautiful. And I know that was something that struck a lot of us, but it was just so visually captivating.
Hmm. Oh no, I definitely agree with you on that. Um, all these films, all the films looked great. Even with 28 years later, being filmed with iPhones and stuff like that, having that thrown in there, Nosferatu,
Yeah,
Long Legs, The Substance. But it, like we said, Sinners was just, like I said, like the breakdown of everything. Just getting that master class from Coogler about the different types of films. You know what I mean? I think that was great for a lot of people that don't know the history of certain film, how things are made and everything like that. So I think it's pretty cool. Like, you know what I mean? And so Sinners, you could go see it on, there was different ones. You could see it on like certain millimeter, 16, and it was all different ones out there, 15. And it just changed everybody's perspective on how they watched the film. Like just being in there, and then like when the main scenes on IMAX came and the screen just started to rise all the way up and then come
yeah,
down, like you know what I mean? And just everything, like the music and the dancing scenes that had all connected. I think it's the cheat code. You can't. It is what it is. You can't stop
yeah,
it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think that's what we run into this situation, and it's like at the end of the day, it's just great filmmaking overall. So.
So our next few categories, I think we're able to kind of like get through a little quicker because some of these are categories I don't know that I have like I could be wrong, but I don't know that I have like
Hmm.
strong emotional connection to some of these categories, except for like maybe the next one though, right? Like the best
Hmm.
score. What do you,
Yeah.
so with Nosferatu, Sinners, The Substance, 28 Years Later, and Long Legs, um, with those films, what would you say was your pick for this? Looking at like score, which I just will differentiate for anyone listening, like or watching. Score is obviously different than soundtrack, so that was the tough thing because like Sinners has a great
Hmm.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
but we're looking at score, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if you had a pick for that and like what it would have been. That was because this was a tough one for me.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but I think the score point, I think we can kind of give this to Nosferatu.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I
kind
mean?
of what I was going with too, because like, you know, the score for a film like that, it has to like
Hmm.
evoke a feeling, emotion, like, and that Nosferatu's heavy on like those like dread and
Yeah.
just very moody, and like that film for me was like definitely captured that. So yeah,
Hmm.
that felt right for me. Yeah, so tough one though, because like when you're going in, sometimes like I said, that can get confused. I think people walk away and they confuse score and soundtrack sometimes.
Oh, definitely. In the next category, we have Best Costume Design. So we have Sinners, Maxine, Nosferatu, The Ugly Stepsisters, and The Substance. Who are you going with?
I went with The Ugly Stepsister.
Mm,
And like again, like this isn't a category I have like a huge emotional connection to, but like
yeah.
when I watched it, that was actually one of the things I noted when I did my review for this film was like it was, the costumes, the just everything felt very authentic and beautiful while being a very disgusting film. So I thought it was really good. Nosferatu
Hmm.
was right up there with for me too, but I think I kind of end up leaning towards like period pieces when I think of
Yeah.
costume design versus something more modern.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's like you said, modern. Like we have The Substance, like,
Yeah,
and Maxine. Those are just kind of like normal things that everybody's kind of used to. We're in the big kick of the 80s films right now. So,
yeah,
I think that's kind of like what's going on in today's fashion also going back and forth. So I don't think it really jumps out to anyone and saying like, oh, that was so different.
yeah.
You
Right,
know what I mean?
exactly.
So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I agree. The Ugly Stepsister, those period pieces, and then like how you can take things like that. It was like even before, like even like when we did the 80s or whatever, like when you mix things up, like the night of the devil, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yep,
When we first watched that, like you like not knowing like, oh shit, like just how it looks and everything, like the way it was shot, it actually looked like it was a film from the 80s, you know what I mean?
yeah,
80s, 70s. Um, but I think that's the key piece of doing all this and making it just jump to your, you know what I mean? Like your eyes kind of like question your mind, like what are you seeing? Like is this like how are they doing this? But overall,
yeah,
yeah, I think that's what we come down
yeah.
to.
All right, so we got best makeup effects. We have the crew that did Long Legs. We have Terrifier 3 and Damien Leone. We have 28 years later. We have The Substance, and we have
Mm.
Nosferatu. Who do you got for this
I'm gonna go with Nosferatu on this one.
one? Okay.
Uh,
All right. Um, I went with Terrifier 3 for this. Just
mm,
looking at makeup effects, some of the with the kills and some of the crazy, crazy things that we see in that felt like, Damien Leone just kind of always knocks it out of the park with that kind of stuff. So yeah,
but we're
that
just talking
was,
about makeup though.
yeah,
I get
which
it, but
kind
I'm
of,
just talking about like it
you know
just
what I
like
mean?
if for that it would just kind of like be like what art,
Yeah. I mean, are
art.
even like, but like, don't you still do makeup when you, even in like gore scenes? Like, kind of, I was kind of thinking. I could be off base with this idea, but I was also thinking like, even when you're doing practical effects, there's a element of makeup that you have to use in some of those things.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. See, but that's the thing with this one. It's kind of like tricky. So like because even like the makeup thing, like I would choose Nosferatu
Yeah.
off of like the period piece and like how I
Yeah.
mean how to kind of like get that style and for the
I
camera
also
to
think
pick
when I
up.
think of makeup for that, like I think of even the way they made him look like Nosferatu, like that's a very pretty heavy makeup job, right? Making him
Mm,
look the way that he presents. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd be interested for anyone listening, like kind of what's your take on this category and kind of what you look at when you're making a decision on this.
all right, let's see. Tom Savini. Is that makeup? Is that makeup
I think so.
effects?
Yeah,
Is that?
I think so. Greg Nicotero, Tom Savini. I mean,
Is it?
that's kind of what I thought. I
Look it
could be
up.
wrong.
Look it up.
Look it up. All
Makeup
right.
FX. Let's see. But yeah, see, that's a piece where it has, all that the talent. So it just can go either way. But it is what it is. Let's see what we got there.
Um, let's see. What's a good definition here? It literally tells me like the easiest thing to.
Mm. Look at these guys. Gotta look up the makeup FX.
I mean, special effects makeup or special effects makeup is a makeup that creates an illusion or a non-traditional look. Some examples are old age makeup, non-human creatures, or
Mm.
injuries. So I think it's all
All
of
right.
it, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
so it could be all of it. Yeah.
It's literally all of it, or
Eh,
none of it.
I
We're
think
just
I think
totally wrong, and it's none of that, actually.
I think you just like 28 years later though.
All I think Nosferatu showed some dong too, actually. So
Nah.
if that's where you were going with that comment, which I assume it was.
Uh,
All right. Next
uh,
category. What do
we
we
got the
got?
best creature FX. So we have Oddity, and we have Smile 2, The Substance, Werewolves, and Alien Romulus. Who are you rolling with?
I did Alien Romulus.
Nah, but
Yes.
the final one,
I mean,
final form.
I was kind of thinking of all of it, right? Like I'm thinking creatures, like the aliens themselves,
Yeah.
the way they made them look, the just all of that. The substance kind of was another one that came to mind for that category, but
Mm-hmm.
just overall, the creatures in Alien looked amazing.
Yeah.
So that's what I went with.
I have to agree. I'll go with Aliens also. Even though Werewolves, it looked good, but it was just, I think, did you see that movie?
I didn't. I missed it.
Yeah.
I've actually been waiting for that out on streaming. I don't think it's out yet, but
Yeah.
kind of waiting for that.
I think that if it would have lined up with the actual effects and everything like that and the story,
Yeah.
we would have been talking about that film for a long time, but kind of just falls flat. But if that's your choice and you liked it, that's great. But I'm rolling with Alien Romulus on that.
Yeah.
And so next we have the best documentary features. We have Doc of Chucky, George A. Romero's Resident Evil, In Search of Darkness, uh, the J Horror Virus, and Suzanne, the Queen of Black Magic. What are you rolling with?
This is an easy one for me. I didn't see any of them, so I actually have to press skip on this one.
You're skipping it?
I have to. I didn't see any of them. I can't make a decision on films I haven't seen. That wouldn't be right.
Look at this guy backing
I
out of a category. You didn't watch In Search of Darkness?
No.
Hmm. I'm gonna go In Search of
Oh,
Darkness.
what the frig am I saying? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Wait, that was like the most. I actually forgot. I watched In Search of Darkness.
Yeah.
I didn't finish fully. I watched a
Yeah,
lot of
some
In
of
Search
it.
of Darkness. It is a long ass film. Yeah, so I guess I will pick In Search of Darkness. Wow, I totally forgot about that because that actually, yeah, no, and I enjoyed it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I totally enjoyed it too. I'm not even lying. I know people are probably like,
Wait a minute.
this guy's
This
freaking
guy.
lying. No, I'm being dead serious. I enjoyed it and I watched it. Those two
Hmm.
things happened in my life. So yeah, In Search of Darkness.
All right. In
You
Search of
you saw
Darkness.
you saw a couple of these, right?
Yeah, I seen the doc of Chucky and George A. Romero's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Resident Evil kind of just, left me kind of like wondering why, there was so many things that were kind of like thrown in there because, it would have been great to have him, do the first film. The Doc of Chucky was good. I think that's on Streambox,
yep,
Screambox.
yep.
So
And yeah, but I just like the way now I you said that I've like it's all coming back to me. The way In Search of Darkness presents the films, I just like that whole like format and like how they
yeah.
go. It was a really cool one, and it actually brought out some films that I was like, oh shit, there's a few here that I hadn't even heard of. But
Hmm.
then when they brought the films up that I did know, it was like cool to hear them dig in about those. So that was cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool too. We worked with them on that to
Yeah,
kind of like highlight some films. So, we
that's
kind of highlighted our love of, Pet Cemetery 2
yep. Brain
and
scan.
Brain Scan.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So shout out to everybody over at In Search of Darkness team.
Sorry, I forgot about you.
Yeah, how do you forget that?
I don't know. All right. The next category is best nonfiction TV series or miniseries. We have the Boulay Brothers Dragula. We have Horror's Greatest. We have The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, and we have Svengoolie.
Mm,
Brandon, what do you got?
I'm going with the last drive-in, Joe Bob Briggs.
Of
This guy
course.
every year.
You got to. And I feel bad. I'd love to show Svengoolie some love, but no longer getting me TV. has really caused me to fall back on not being able to catch up with my Svengoolie. So,
Me TV has caused an issue
yep.
for
So
me.
did not watch any Svengoolie this year, unfortunately. But yeah, last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs.
Why don't you have Me TV? What happened?
I don't know. It just I don't get it anymore.
All right.
We used to get it. The cable provider used to have it, and then last year at some point, it was no longer there.
Who do you have?
Cox
Cox. All right. Yeah, I
with an
got you.
X with an X.
Yeah. I keep forgetting because not a lot of people in our area also have that, this Comcast and everything
Yeah,
else like that. So it's basically the same as Comcast for
yeah.
listeners that is somewhere else.
For whatever reason, it was like channel, like one of the early channels, like 3 or 4. That
Okay.
typically is like a public channel, and then they, for whatever reason, got rid of Me TV, and I was bummed because that was my weekly thing.
All right. Sure, buddy. Best series, we have the Creep Tapes, and we have From, The Last of Us, Squid Game, and Yellow Jackets. Who you rolling with?
All right, so when we talk about this category, I'm assuming we're talking about the season 2 or 3 of Yellow Jackets, which
Mm,
I've only seen season 1 because that's the only one out on Netflix. So I can't vote Yellow Jackets. Otherwise, that would easily be a winner for me
mm,
because that show is great. Squid Game, I only watched season 1. I really just
uh,
haven't wanted to get into season 2 yet. It's not doing it for me. The last season of The Last of Us was not as good as the first season.
mm.
So I'm going with Creep Tapes. That was a long answer to get to the Creep Tapes.
Creep Tapes. All right.
And the Creep Tapes, it's very formulaic. It's a lot of the same thing over and over. You know what you're getting into. But there was some, really great moments in that show. And Mark Duplass did his thing, and it was a lot of
Mm.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm a little choppy with series. So locked in on The Last of Us, that fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So Yellow Jackets, I fell off on that wagon. I heard it's a great show though. Only watched the first season also. Squid Games, the third season just came out. It was good. Creep Tapes I liked. From is a good show. I have to kind of get back into it. I know they
Yeah.
just announced a new season, but for me, being all caught up and where I'm at right now, I'm gonna have to go with Squid Games.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you finish season 3?
yeah,
Oh, did you mind the ending? Because I didn't watch it, but I heard the ending caused a little bit of uproar.
did, but it's like what else are you supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? Like it
It's
is what it is.
it's just funny listening to people's reactions sometimes and how strong they can get it about certain things. But
Yeah, I think at
yeah,
the end of the day, it is what it is.
yeah. And I do think we're getting Creep Tapes season 2 at some point, so I'm looking forward to
Mm,
that if I'm accurate about that.
creep.
Brandon, I'm going to give you this next category. I'll read them out, but obviously, I have not played any of these games
All
because I'm
right.
just getting back into video games. So we got best video game, Stranding 2,
Yep.
Mouthwashing, Silent Hill 2 remake, Slitterhead, and Sorry We're Closed. None of those sound real except for Silent Hill 2. Slitterhead, what
So
the hell is that?
yeah. So it's so crazy because Death Stranding 2 just released like not even not even 2 weeks ago. Like
So
you know what I mean?
yeah, so you don't even really
So
have
it's
time to
hard.
like judge that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm rolling with Silent Hill 2, the remake. It's classic. It's a remake from, the PS1 version. And there's so much shit going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and there's some titles on there that are like I've never heard of in my life. And
Yeah.
like Silent Hill 2 being up against them is kind of like strange to me. But yeah, so do
It's,
you know most of those games or some of
these are
those
some
kind
of
of
the
like
independent games.
gotcha.
And
All right.
so it's like kind of like a little that poppy game that you play and stuff like that. Those are
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
You
is what it is.
gotta put that out there, huh?
Man, Poppy, what? That's cool.
Puppy's Playground.
And then we have Best Public Domain Resurrections. We have Popeye's Revenge. We have The Mousetrap, Popeye the Slayer Man, Screamboat, Shiver Me Timbers and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares. Who are you going with?
All right, so here's a little disclosure on this category. This one was tough for me because a lot of these films are on my like wait list of films I want to see. I just
Hmm.
haven't had access to a lot of these films yet.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I've only seen The Mousetrap out of these films. Screamboat, I've been waiting for. I missed the screening they did in our area. It was on a work night for me, unfortunately. Peter
Hmm.
Pan's Neverland, I didn't get to, and I was kicking myself. That was in the theater for like two days or 3 days. And I thought it was going to come back, and it didn't. I just been waiting for that to like officially hit the streaming
Yep.
sites. I know Popeyes, either Popeye's
Revenge.
Revenge or Popeye the
One of
Slayer
them on
Man
Tubi.
is on Tubi. I just haven't
Uh,
watched it yet, but the other one is the one I was waiting for because that one actually looks to be like the better version of it. So,
mm,
with that being said, I've only seen the Mousetrap, so I guess I have to pick it by
default.
default. I was probably most excited about Screamboat and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares. And we have a bunch of friends that are involved with Screamboat, so I do hope good things for that one. And then obviously Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. That whole crew that's doing those films, the
Mm,
Pooh, Blood and Honey films. We've been in contact with them for ages now. So I wish the best for that film as well. Cannot wait to
hmm.
check that out. And also, Bambi the Reckoning is going to be hitting theaters next month, I believe, and I'm very excited, or maybe even late this month. I can't remember the date, but I'm very
Mm.
excited for that. So, The Mousetrap.
The Mousetrap.
I
All
did a
right.
review
Well,
on that one
mm,
actually, and
well,
I didn't hate
well.
it.
At least for you. I mean, I think that this whole category was just for you because you're a big fan of these films. Not saying I'm not, but if I would have to go with anything, it was Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares. Um, I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I have not seen any of these movies. So where's that guy at when you need him? But
Yeah,
I can take that. One whole
one category.
category
Yeah, yeah.
is something I didn't fuck with, and so it's all right.
I just feel like this category, it's unfortunate that all of these films are kind of like there's so many on this list that are just waiting. Well, a lot of us are just waiting for that stream
Yeah,
release. So and that's literally what it is about this category because a lot of these films I've been just kind of like waiting
yeah,
for that.
yeah. You would think they would all already be there with the
Yeah,
public domain stuff. So, but who knows?
I
But
mean
we'll
they're
see.
available for rent and purchase, but when you have freaking 10 subscriptions to streaming sites, the last thing you want to do is purchase a film because it's like you're
Yeah,
already spending enough. So
yeah. Well, overall, man, I think that we did a great job with our choices and everything like that, running through all these nominees and these categories because, like I said, it's not easy, when you kind of like break things down. But, if you haven't voted yet and you just happen to fall upon our episode, definitely just take a look into like films that you really enjoyed and kind of like break it down like and ask yourself what can help me beat this film that I know is like the top film, Sinners. What how could I make this compete with this? What did I take away from this film? What did
right.
this actor do? What did the makeup, how did that stand out? How did the costume design? And I think that's what it comes down to. But
Yeah.
overall, it's about just having fun and kind of like bringing horror back to what it needs to be for us. And it's always been just a great time, having some nice award shows. So shout out to Shudder and Fangoria, because this is really big, and being able to vote for what we love really means a lot.
Yeah. It's just a fun time and glad we're in a place where we have this and it's
Yeah,
something for, people that have a lot going on in their lives to be able to like look at and have a good time with and, just enjoy their passion, their interest, their hobby just a little bit more. So,
yeah.
yeah, thanks to everybody involved.
Yep. And then also, if you're not subscribed to Fangoria magazine, do so and use our promo code PVD Horror to help save 20% on any purchase that can be from a subscription, t-shirt, hat, whatever you name it.
Yes. And back cover issues and stuff like that. So tons of stuff you can get. They're constantly coming out with new designs and different clothing and stuff like that, or all that. So definitely check it out and get yourself a subscription if you don't. I mean, it's something to look forward to. I love getting that. What is it like? Not quarterly, but like almost every other month. Pretty much, we get an issue. It's just great, and you get that special cover too, which is the best part of it.
Yeah, but then you got to chase down the other one that you would really want.
Yeah.
So,
but at least we get the one that nobody else is getting in the stores. So yeah.
nah, definitely.
But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Can't wait to be able to watch this award show and see where everybody's picks land. We'll be back with some more episodes, some reviews, some interviews, all that good stuff. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for all the alerts on our future episodes.
And then we'll keep you guys updated when we get news of when the awards is actually going to take place. Because I know a lot of people drop in the comments, when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
When is this? We don't know yet, but just we know that voting closes in, was that August?
Yeah, August something. I can't remember, like 10th or around there.
Yeah, so definitely look forward to it. Like, we have a set date. We don't have a set date, but it's going to happen in October. You know what I mean? So definitely let us know what you guys think about our choices or who you would have picked in the comments. Let's talk about it. Until then,
see you later. Peace.
Take it easy.
Game over.